Now to the analysis of Shields and Brooks. That is syndicated columnist Mark Shields and New York Times columnist David Brooks. So, gentlemen, this is the last time I get to ask you this on a Friday. Mark, how does this race look?
It looks terrific. I mean, it really is. And I just want it to keep going. I don't want it to end. I wish it was like baseball. We could go into extra innings. No, I don't think it's any question. The whole temperature, the whole atmosphere of the race changed over the last 8 days since the last we were together with the Comey announcement of the FBI investigation. I think what had been a sort of an assumed Clinton victory and Democrats taking over the Senate, I think it was stopped in its tracks. And while I still think she's the favorite, and is the favorite, there's certainly a lot more doubt about the Senate today.
David?
Yeah. Well, I think she's the favorite. I have a sense that it would have happened anyway. And that at the end of the day, people were going to come home to who they were. And what's depressed me, frankly, most about this race is we went into this country a divided nation, and now the chasms are just solidified. So divided along race, divided along gender, urban, rural, college educated, non-college educated, we can go down the list. And basically, less educated or high school educated whites are going to Trump. It doesn't matter what the guy does. And college educated going to Clinton. I mean, everyone's dividing based on demographic categories, and sometimes you get the sense the campaign barely matters. People are just going with their gene pool or whatever it is. And that is one of the more depressing aspects of this race for me.
Well, and you say it almost doesn't matter what they say, but they are going out, Mark, with some pretty rough language. I mean, she continues to say he's unacceptable. He doesn't have the character to be president. He's continues saying she needs to be in prison. Somebody at one of his rallies today said, execute her. We are watching as low as it can get, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, I think there's no question Clinton, I'm not sure David's right. He's 97% right, about 48% of the time. But no, but on whether it would have narrowed, I think there was a sense that she had the possibility of a decisive victory, and I think she at that point wanted the Clinton campaign wanted to end it on upbeat. And more positive. The problem is you have two candidates, Judy, who we've said time and again, are personally unfavorable. So the spotlight is unkind to each who's ever in that spotlight. And when Donald Trump was in the spotlight, losing 3 debates to Hillary Clinton in the Access Hollywood tape, it hurt him and helped her. And what happened is that changed, and sort of changed her strategy. She was trying to shift the spotlight back to him. I think inelegantly and ineffectively, quite frankly, in the last week, by bringing out the former Miss Universe and trying to do that. The best closer, quite honestly, is Barack Obama. He's the best closer since Dennis Eckersley or Mariano Rivera. I mean, he's just he really knows how to close. If you want to see somebody do it well, just watch Barack Obama. He makes a far better case for her than she makes for herself. Donald Trump is sounding the same theme he has sounded since June of 2015.
Yeah, and it's a campaign of hate. I mean, Obama is a campaign of at least hope. At least his first campaign was. This is just a campaign of hate. And, people who don't like Trump really don't like Trump, and I guess I'm among them. And then we just saw in our report about the Trump voters in Pennsylvania. Did you see when they were shouting on the road, did you see anything nice about Trump? No, send Clinton to jail. And so it's just, there was a Burt Lancaster movie where he had love and hate tattooed on his hands. And this just, we're in a psychosis of what they call negative polarization, where nobody likes their side, but they really hate the other side. And it feels like it's just building and building. We got this cycle. And I don't know if it pops on Election Day. I hope so. But the idea that Clinton is finishing this campaign, bringing Miss America or the Miss Universe to the rallies just seems wrong to me. I do think she should have pivoted and say, I am change, I am change. Because people do want some change. And to end on this negative note, I think especially for her, he has no choice. That's his whole repertoire. I think for her, I think it's a very questionable way to end the campaign.
Yeah, but Mark, doesn't that say that her campaign's really concerned here?
Sure. I think, Judy, Hillary Clinton's in Detroit, Michigan, the Friday before the election. I mean, Michigan is one of the 18 states in the District of Columbia that are the blue wall, that have voted Democratic for 6 consecutive presidential elections that constitute the 242 of the 270 electoral votes that the Democrats start with. So, no, there's a concern. I mean, you can tell more from polls by the candidate schedules,
right.
And where they're spending time and resources. So, no, I think there is a real concern on the part.
Yeah, that sort of goes back to my point about demographics. Why is she in Michigan? Because Michigan was, we've all thought that it would be Florida, South Carolina, Nevada, you know, all the New Hampshire, the states we've been talking about. But there are a lot of white people in Wisconsin and Michigan. And so there's another route that he has in ways we didn't expect because of the way the demographics are just driving this election much more than ideology was in years past.
You know, I hear people saying, don't the American people deserve a better election than this? Couldn't somebody have found a way, Mark, for the candidates to talk about something uplifting, or was it always going to come down to this?
Boy, I don't know. I mean, you had 2 candidates who were highly unfavorable, and the idea of somehow convincing people that their perceptions, in some cases long held, were inaccurate or incomplete, the more appealing route, quite frankly, in the campaign was to try and hit the other fellow over the head. David's right, it would be a negative mandate. And one other point David makes that is a good one, and it's good to recall historically. Theodore White wrote that America is Republican until 5 or 6 o'clock at night. And that's when working people and their families got off work, had supper, and voted. America's going to be Democratic. It's going to happen between 5:30 and 8 o'clock at night. That has been totally turned on its ear. I mean, the working class, blue collar, non-college educated base of the Democratic Party is the base of Donald Trump's campaign this year. So, and the Democrats are now an upscale party. So each party its message is totally out of kilter. The Democrats have an economic message that is directed at people at the lower end. That's been their cornerstone. The Republicans has been a more upscale. Now the Republicans have a very low scale by economic standards base Donald Trump has. And it's just total conflict, Judy. And I think it became easier, quite frankly, just to hit the other guy over the head than to try and make the positive case.
I'd say some of it was contingent on Donald Trump being Donald Trump and changing the rules of how we talk to each other. Some of that was contingent, but a lot of it is baked structurally into our society. And so we had a lot of good things over the years that were really good for America. I think globalization has been really good for America. I think the influx of immigrants has been really good for America. Feminism has really been really good for America. But there are a lot of people who used to be up in society because of those 3 good things are now down. A lot of high school educated white guys. And they've been displaced. And shame on us for not paying attention to that and helping them out. And therefore, as a result, what happened was they were alienated. They got super cynical because they really were being shafted. And so they react in an angry way. Well, that's not a shock given the last 30 or 50 years of American history. And so for us going forward, it's to not reverse the dynamism of American society and the diversity, but it's to pay attention to the people who are being ruined by it. And so this doesn't happen again.
Well, it means there's a lot of sorting out to do after this election and well on. I want to ask you both about the Supreme Court, Mark. We've heard from Republican senators in the last few weeks that no matter if Hillary Clinton's elected, this is an if, no matter who she puts forward, they're going to make sure that she doesn't get to fill that 9th seat on the court. I mean, how are we to think about the Supreme Court anymore? I mean, we've now gone the better part of this year since Justice Scalia's death. Mm-hmm. President Obama's nominee can't get through. I mean, has this become a litmus test of the litmus tests?
Judy, in a year of irresponsibility, this is a new depth of irresponsibility. To say that the constitutional mandate of a national election where millions of Americans vote and pick a new president, that president is what that president does under the Constitution of nominating judges and justices is somehow moot, and I'm not going to pay any attention to it. It's unacceptable. I mean, it really is. It's beyond irresponsible. I mean, it's beyond reckless. I mean, it is really, I think it's criminal. I basically do. And anybody who holds that position, I think that it's self-disqualifying for any public office.
We heard it from John McCain, and I guess this week there was a comment from Richard Burr, the senator from North Carolina, and others.
I think Senator Cruz has put on, I think Senator McCain did walk it back. But you're right, he did say it on radio.
Yeah. I mean, my views about this are like Mark's, only stronger. I think, you know, it's in the Constitution. And we not only have rules in the Constitution, the way it should work, the president should be able to nominate justices, but we have an etiquette around the Constitution. What's happened in America is that etiquette has been acidified away. And I hate the nuclear option going to 50 votes in the Senate. Mm-hmm. But if they behave this way, then I think the Democrats might be justified in going to the nuclear option, because we actually have to have a government. We have to have people confirmed and put into office. But it's the degradation of the way our government is supposed to run.
I didn't give you all any warning about this, but I want to ask you in the last minute or so that we have left, what do you say to the American people at this point about the choice they're making, about how much difference it makes?
Well, it does. We know presidents make choices. I mean, we have no idea what's going to come up on a crisis over the next 4 years, unexpected, internationally, domestically, and who that president is, the judgment, the intelligence, the confidence that president has can very well determine whether we survive, let alone prosper as a people.
Yeah, it's a job. It's a job that involves some patience, a tolerance for boredom, the ability to work friendly with other people, to herd majorities. It's a job. And I can't say who I'm going to vote for, but one person is clearly disqualified for that job, and I can't mention his name.
David Brooks, Mark Shields. We'll see you on election night.